Good morning, everybody. So I hope we had a great day yesterday. Hope we kicked the week off to a fantastic start. So today's video is all about values and continuing this week's series on how to be more productive, get more done by doing less. I wanted to really start to home in on your values. So let's say, for example, yesterday after the video, you went away, you started to think about what your purpose is. Values is the next biggest thing that ties into why you do what you do. And staying true to your values is something that a lot of us either forget, let slip, we don't honour daily as part of our routine, or it just seems to be a distant memory as we work through and build our business, our sideline, whatever that income looks like. So I wanted to spend a little bit of time this morning talking about values. I've got three really big book recommendations for you that have really helped us change the way we think, change the way we operate, but stay true to our values in everything that we do. So it very heavily ties into yesterday's video about purpose, but a big thing today is making sure that you are honouring your values, because what you'll find is when you start to prioritize, categorize everything that you do within your business, your job, your day-to-day, if your values stay true, you get more done, you're more productive, you're more enthusiastic about what you're doing, and you achieve bigger and better results by ultimately doing a lot less. So that's the theme for today's video. So values, what do we mean by values? So football fans or any sports fan, or even anybody who's a die-hard City where they've lived through and through, whatever the explanation is, will always use the phrase, or may have used the phrase, and some of you may have used this yourself, if you cut my arm off, I'm X through and through. And your values is very much the same. So if you cut your arm off, and for example, if you were a, Manchester City fan, you say you're blue and white through and through, whatever the terminology would be, your values are exactly the same. If you cut your arm off, your values is what runs through, and it's emotional, it's what drives you, it's what brings out your passion, and sometimes we overlook them. So for example, you might think that your values are your business, making income, being happy, and all these items, when actually we need to dig deeper than that. So the exercise we spoke around yesterday will help you do that in finding out what really drives you. Some of you may have heard the phrase, it's the why that makes you cry. And that is that emotional attachment to an action or something that you do that allows you to ultimately feel, yeah, this is why I'm doing this. So your values are really down deep inside you. They're ingrained. A lot of the time they're subconscious, so you're not always thinking about them. But what they do is they underpin everything that you are about. They underpin your actions, your responses. If any of you have read The Chimp Paradox, they influence what that chimp says, whether it's a right or a wrong decision, because they are ultimately guiding you to take action towards what you personally believe is right or wrong. So values are really important. So why we're going to discuss them today is, if you're not being true to your values, in business, you can end up being a busy fool. And I'm sure a lot of you have heard that terminology before. So we want to make sure that in your business, you're staying true to your values, you're driving forward, and you're achieving the results with hopefully the smallest amount of effort in certain areas that are all underpinned, and you're staying true to what drives you. It's all leading you to that end result where you're going to get the ultimate amount of success or massive satisfaction, whatever that looks like for you. So, big question then, I think you're all probably thinking, okay, values, right, well, how do we know what our values are? So I'm going to recommend 3 books at this stage, because I think I know how I've found out what my values are. I've been through several different processes, exercises, lots of reading, learning, developing, and it's taken me a little while to really understand what underpins my values. And it was only last week doing another session with my business partner James that actually I really went down another layer in depth to find out exactly what it was. So it can take a little bit of time, but hopefully these 3 books will allow you to start to find out exactly what your values are, at least on a very broad level. And we'll come on to why they're so important in your business later on. So the first book that I've read to do with values is by Dr. John Demartini, and it is called The Values Factor. Now, this book is inspirational if you're trying to find out or understand what makes you tick, what drives you, what's pushing you towards the next level internally, not necessarily externally. So that's The Values Factor by Dr. John Demartini. And Dr. John takes you through a series of exercises. They are quite long, but it's a series of exercises that helps you understand what you are all about. What drives you? Is it family? Is it recognition? Is it social experiences? And it really gets under the skin of what you are about. So start off with that book, if any, because that will allow you to spend a bit of time. You do need to sit down, turn your phone off, turn the TV off, whatever it is that you might have as a distraction behind you. Turn them all off and really focus on this one exercise, because I guarantee it will be enlightening for you to see what it is that actually comes out when you're doing these exercises. So the second book then is Brendon Burchard's High Performance Habits. So everybody who is looking to be a high performer, this book is for you. Now, James is currently reading this book, so I think he's actually traveling this morning, so I don't think he's on the video with us. But he will be able to be a live testimony, if you like, for the impact this book has on the way you think. And it underpins what is a core value to you. So I'm just going to say quick morning, everybody. So morning Sam, morning Mum, morning Jim, Layla, Clive, morning everybody. If you are here, if you are watching, make sure that you are saying hello, make sure you're engaging with me. So I will try to keep the conversation two-way, not just me talking all the time. So Brendon Burchard's High Performance Habits, this underpins what drives you on a sustainable level, not necessarily a head down, bum up, grind your way through, make sure that you're doing 23 hours work a day, sleep for half an hour, eat for half an hour, and go again. It's not a burnout scenario to try and get things done. And Brendon talks about the habits that you need to have sustained over a long period of time, and they are underpinned by your values. So things like your health, things like your social and your intimate relationships, all of these key things that make you successful in business long term are underpinned by your values. So Brendon Burchard, High Performance Habits, great book in conjunction with Dr. John Demartini's The Values Factor. Those two books, really, really well worth a read, will change the way you think about what you do and how you do it. So highly recommend those two. The final book then is a more recent book, and it's much, much smaller than the other two, but it's very, very relevant. And that is Rob Moore's Routine Equals Results. Now, what that does is it allows you to see what you do on a day-to-day, week-to-week, and even year-to-year basis, and categorically see where you spend most of your time. Now, if you are a family person like me, so you enjoy spending time with your family, everything you do within your business is for your family, then you'll relate to this quite well. And that is that in your diary, or in my diary in this scenario, a lot of the actions I was taking excluded my family. Lo and behold, I wasn't very happy. I didn't enjoy what I was doing. I wasn't building relationships and moving forward with what went on with my family because I excluded them from everything I was doing. I was working really hard, whether it was in my job or whether it was now in my business, and I could go months and months and months without seeing them. Lo and behold, it wasn't a great time in my life. Now, those of you who are family orientated, you'll understand that the longer you go without seeing the people that mean the most to you, the more stressed and anxious you get, the more outside influences that have a negative impact on what you're doing on your day to day, all of these factors start to come into play. And it's all because you're not being true to your core value. So a big shift that we've changed is now, if there's a family event, if there's something to go to, if there's something that allows me to go back to my original hometown, then I take that opportunity. And that keeps me true to my values, and it allows me to keep moving forwards in a positive manner, rather than trying to convince myself that what I was doing was the right thing to do and excluding that value. So that's just a very small example, but hopefully you can relate to that, in that being true to your value, although it might not be a direct impact, it will allow you to allow more positive influences coming into your life and your day-to-day routines. So Rob Moore's book allows you to break down what you do, and he teaches you to put your key values in place first. So your non-negotiables every week. So for me, it's date night with my wife, to make sure that every week that is in the diary. Why? Because it's a non-negotiable. It's something that makes me happy, and it's time that I enjoy spending with the person I love the most. So that is a non-negotiable. That goes in the diary first. Health and fitness is something that I've excluded for far too long out of my diary. So recently that's been working its way back into the core structure, because I know without my health, I'm not going to have a long-term sustainable business. And then there'll be other elements like personal development. There might even be some meditation. So all of these different things don't directly relate to business. However, without them, you don't have a business, or you don't perform well in your job, or you're always on edge or unsatisfied with what you're doing, because actually they are the smaller outside influences that make the inside influences perform at their best. So those three books again are Dr. John DeMartini, The Values Factor, Brendan Burchard's High Performance Habits, and then Rob Moore's Routine Equals Results. And I guarantee that if you spend the time to read those three books and do the exercises that they tell you to do, you will think differently about what you're doing and what your priorities are, because you'll start to understand what drives you, what are your underpinning core values, and what is it that you're working towards to achieve in a positive way. None of this, just do it because I've got to do it. Somebody said I should do it. Hate that word. Nobody should do anything. You do what you want to do. You choose what you do. So make sure that you're doing what is driving you as an individual, rather than the outside influences coming in. So that's how we can start to understand what our influences are. So what influences our values, and how our values then in return influence what we do to move forwards. So you're probably now thinking, well, how does that make me more productive? How does that allow me to do less and achieve more? Well, going back to previous videos, and if you've watched all of the series that I've done before, you'll see there's lots of different strategic elements in what you do and how you can approach that. Your values will start to make you think differently about your daily routine, your daily to-do list, your task management for the week. And if you can remember, there's different categories for what you do, whether you do it yourself, you delegate it, you just get rid of it completely, you don't do it at all. Whatever it is in terms of those categories, your values will start to influence those decisions that you make. So, for example, if health and fitness is one of your core underpinning values, when it's time to either go to the gym or go for a run or go for a walk, whatever that be, or carry on doing admin and paperwork, your mind will switch on to go, okay, which of these is my core value? Do I want to sit here in a bogged down environment, stressed, doing paperwork, doing actions that I'm not enjoying? Or do I want to go for that run? Do I want to go to the gym, etc.? And your values will start to come through, and you'll make the right decision to go for that run, go to the gym, whatever that exercise would be. Because what you don't know at the time of making that decision is that once you've been for that gym session, that class, that run, that walk, whatever it is, when you come back, you'll feel so much more upbeat, you'll feel so much more enthused, that you'll want to finish off what you started, or you'll outsource it, delegate it, move it across to somebody else to finish on your behalf, because your clarity on what you're doing will be so much better. So if you look at that as a very small snapshot, what's happened is your values have driven you to make a decision on whether you need to be spending your time doing an action, or if it can be left for 24, 48 hours before it needs to be finished, or if it can be given to somebody else, a member of staff, an outsourcer, a friend, a family member, etc., because they're better to do it than you. So it will take a little bit of time to get this routine of making decisions based on your values coming through, but it will help your decision making massively. And so when you are looking at, okay, I've got all of these actions to do, and it can get a little bit overwhelming, sticking true to your values will allow you to make the right decision to complete the right task every time, because it's coming from within. So it's right for you. And the great thing about that is nobody else can tell you what is right for you. Yes, people can give their opinion, people can give you help based on experiences, and again, I recommend that we're always reaching out for help, for guidance, but ultimately, you will always have that gut feeling of what is right for you, or this feels the right thing for me to do. So more of those occurrences will come around from sticking true to your values. A little bit of a sideline to that, they will help you write things like process manuals, business manuals, job descriptions, anything that requires a set of actions to be monitored, taken, etc. Having true values that you stick to will influence the way they go. And it will make it will make decisions in the future much, much easier. So another book that I'm actually also reading that's very good is Stress to Success by John Paul. So that's, again, quite a small book, but very concise, and it shows exactly the steps that you can take to bring those core values, those core principles, and your values through into your business operation, your manuals, etc., so that then you've got clear rules or clear, concise ways in which things need to operate, and it allows you, again, to make decisions very, very easy. So as you can see, your values are a very, very big driver in what you're doing each day. So some of you might be thinking, okay, well, what if I don't know what my values are? What if I haven't got the time to sit through these exercises or read all of these books? For me, that is the biggest indicator that now might be the right time for you to do it. Because if you haven't got time to work out or to explore and deep dive into what is truly valuable to you, where your values lie and what drives you the most, then personally there's a disconnect there. Because why are we getting up in the morning? What are you getting out of bed for? What are your goals? What are you trying to achieve? Where do you want this business, your job, where do you want it to take you? And it's very, very easy to get bogged down with well, what if I haven't got the time? What if I haven't got the capacity? And actually, in this occasion, if that's some of the thoughts that are going through your mind, I'd recommend potentially stepping back and just saying, right, okay, actually, am I being true to myself? Because you'll know very quickly if the items, actions, tasks, etc. that are stopping you from reading these books or doing these activities, you'll know very quickly if they are the right things for you to do. Because you'll question, okay, well, I could do this and I could do that. So have a real big think about that. Some of you might also be thinking, well, what if I do this and I'm still confused, or I still don't really understand what's driving me, or I start to make the wrong decision? Again, we are learning all the time. And we talk about failure, which is something that I'll talk around later on this week. We talk about failure as a really negative thing. Well, the person who came up with the word or created the word failure was just boxing everything in as a negative. So rather than seeing failure as a learning experience, they've boxed that phrase in, and it's, right, once you've failed, that's it, you have to let it go, you have to move on. And actually, you look at the most successful people in the world, and failure is the biggest thing that's driven them forward. So that will be, again, underpinned by their values. So if you're thinking, well, what if I don't get it right? What if I don't get it wrong? As long as you are open-minded to being continuously learning, you're going to be absolutely fine. You're going to keep moving forward, and staying true to your values will underpin that over the long term. So those of you that have just joined us this morning, thank you for joining me. 3 books that I've recommended, with 4 actually, I've chucked another one in there. So if any of you are trying to understand what your values are to make you more productive and allow you to move forward or to get more out of what you do, the first one is The Values Factor by Dr. John DeMartini. The second one is High Performance Habits by Brendan Burchard. And the third one is Routine Equals Results by Rob Moore. The fourth one that I've added in there that is a combination of them all, but very business specific, about systemizing and being true to your values and creating kind of business rules based on your values, is Stress to Success by John Paul. So those 4 books, if you've just joined us, do check them out, do take the time to do the exercises, and I guarantee that they will change the way you think and where your internal motivations come from. So that is all from me this morning. Hopefully that's added value to what you do, and it's contributed to you finding out what your values are and how they are driving you, what they're helping you to achieve. If you've got any questions around values, mindset, or anything that can support and influence the business decisions that you're making or the career decisions that you're making, then please do reach out to me. Always happy to help. Again, I mentioned this yesterday, but the Provest videos are going to be delivered through the Provest page from here on out. So if you don't already like or follow us on our Provest Holdings Limited page, please do so today. Just make sure that you follow the link through to our page. I'll pop it in the comments below. Like our page, share this video with anybody you think it's relevant to, or tag them in it. And again, from Monday next week, these videos in the morning will be carried out through our page. Anything else in the meantime, anything we can help with, please do reach out, and I'll make sure that we're coming back to you and supporting where we can. That's all from me this morning. Have a great Tuesday. Thank you for joining me, and I will see you all tomorrow morning. Bye for now.